and to the Iranian ambassador at the United Nations.
Okay, give us a few websites to our listeners, so that we can play our little parts out there. Each person that's listening to this might pick up the phone right now and make the call and do something. It's very powerful, the telephone, when you use it. So let's hear.
Well, again, probably the easiest website to go to is www.bahai.org. Bahai is BAHAI.org. It has a wealth of information from non-Baha'i sources as well, so I think people could assess for themselves the quality of that information.
Okay, now I was on that website, very good website, by the way,
Thanks.
and I saw an article about 57 high school girls being arrested.
That's right, and this was just last month. 54 high school girls were arrested, really on no charges. They were Baha'i, mostly Baha'i young women who were teaching English to disadvantaged children, and they were all arrested on the presumption that they were all Baha'is involved in Baha'i activity. The simple act of organizing as Baha'is is illegal, and the Baha'i administrative structure has been entirely dismantled in Iran. And just 20 years ago, 10 Baha'i young women were killed, were put to death for teaching Baha'i children's classes. So when these 54 were arrested in May of 2006, naturally the Baha'i community is quite alarmed by that. As of today, June 5th, 2006, 51 of these young women have been released, and 3 are still being detained. And we can hope for the best for them.
Of course. I remember when the 13 individuals were arrested. Most of them were Jewish, on trumped-up charges of being Israeli spies.
Right, right.
And they were just common people.
Yeah. And it's considered prima facie evidence of being a traitor to have any connection at all with the State of Israel, which is really a profoundly distorted and really evil, I think, that it's considered evidence of guilt just by simply the Baha'is having a world center in Israel, or someone knowing someone in Israel.
The Baha'i seem to have a good relationship with Israel. We seem to see eye to eye on a lot of things. The center is located in Israel. I visited there, the Baha'i Gardens, about almost 20 years ago. And
you should go back. It's even more beautiful now.
Yeah. Well, I think our viewers will probably see a picture of that as we're talking about this right now. Some of the other pictures that I wanted to for people to see, a picture is worth 1,000 words, is the destruction that occurred to the home of the Ba'ula.
There's been a mass effort to destroy all the cultural heritage sites for the Baha'i community in Iran. The home of the Bab, which is a site of pilgrimage for Baha'is, has been utterly destroyed, and I think we have a picture of that for you. In the recent past, the burial place of one of the chief disciples of the Bab was destroyed, and again his dust disinterred. It's macabre. And the home of Baha'u'llah's father has been destroyed. His home has been in the possession of the government for many years now. So it's quite alarming. The regime has intentionally not repeated the mistakes it made in the early 80s when it was actively killing the Baha'i leadership. But there was a letter intercepted in 1993 from the Grand Ayatollah stating specifically that there should be a slow strangulation of the community so that it's under the radar.
Not noticeable.
Right. So don't kill them overtly, but we'll strangle the community and not allow them to progress.
Now you seem to have a good and positive attitude towards religions of the world, notwithstanding the fact that all of these horrible things are happening in a Islamic republic. Now, you mentioned in our previous conversations, that you had visited the Balkans.
Right.
And you had seen a whole other face of Islam.
I cherish the Quran, and I've learned much from it. When I lived in the Balkans in the mid-1990s after the war there, I had the great privilege of getting to know many of the refugees from Bosnia, who were predominantly Muslim. And I got to be very close friends with the mullah, who invited me one Saturday to his children's class. And the first thing he said to these children who were preparing to go back to their homes in Bosnia after they'd had their fathers killed and their homes confiscated, his statement to the children was, "What is the first obligation of a Muslim when we return to our homes in Bosnia?" And in unison the children said, "The first obligation of a Muslim when we return to our homes in Bosnia is to forgive the people living in our houses." And then he said, "What is the second obligation of a Muslim when we return to our homes in Bosnia?" The second obligation when we return to our homes in Bosnia is to ask the people living in our houses if we can help them. That is an ethic that every religion can only aspire to. This is a wonderful thing, and it's the gem of Islam. And that attitude is really in every one of the world's religions.
It's very deep. It's very deep. Now, this is an event that happened. We're talking about the war in the Balkans when Clinton was in power, and Milosevic, and all of that. What happened? How did it play out when they went to their old homes?
Well, it's a constant struggle, isn't it? It's like any ethical crisis we face. You have to make those ethical decisions every day, because externally all the pressures may be to revert to extremism and fundamentalism and hatred. It's an act of spiritual courage to make the choice that this mullah was advocating.
But did they listen to him when they did go back?
They did. They really did. And actually, I'd like to go back now and see, but there are pockets all over that region of people who are trying to promote interreligious cooperation. But that's a face of Islam we don't hear about much. And it's absolutely diametrically opposed to what we're seeing in this fundamentalist resurgence.
Well, you know, many of the religions reformed themselves. We used to do practices which we don't perform anymore. We used to have animal sacrifice, which may have spoken to us at a certain time. It doesn't any longer. We had horrible wars, you know, in the days of conquest, in the days of Joshua, but that was 3,500 years ago.
Exactly.
And we've been a very peaceful religion for many thousands of years now. You know, many of the things that we do, we've reformed. So I guess it's that element to be able to boil down the specific into the thematic general teaching of the religion, and to make it relevant in a particular time and age.
Yeah. We need to find what's universal in all religions, and it seems to me that the two guideposts are those things which promote humility and compassion, and we need a lot more of that.
There's no truth without humility.
Seems to be the case.
You've been hearing from Dr. John Woodall, representing the Baha'i religion and bringing us up to date on the events that are occurring with the Baha'i, mostly in Iran. We thank you so very much for being with us here on Rabbi Rock.
Thank you very much. Shalom.
Shalom and blessings to you.
Thank you very much.
It's